This man, he's a god of wilderness survival. He demonstrated the process of turning a bike into a motorcycle. Pick up a small piece of wood on the ground. Then I caught a little fish in the stream. Then string the small fish on a straw string as an all-purpose decoy. The next day, he caught a crocodile weighing hundreds of pounds. Took a shit after eating the barbecue. The barbecued shit attracted a deer weighing 100 pounds. The man hunts another deer with a bow and arrow. First time in Africa to survive all the way to the end. But there's more to the surprise than that. Let's see how this man plays in the African wilderness. Our challenge is in the wilds of South Africa. The terrain here is rough. The land was covered with thorns. There's a spicy lion on the ground. There are more big mouths in the river than fish. You're gonna die wherever you go anyway. Survive 21 days in the wilderness. This time the hero is Cole. The days when you're afraid to shit for fear of hunger. He's been through decades. Not even poor, let alone dead. He comes where others are afraid to come. He dived where others dared not. He catches fish that others are afraid to catch. He takes off clothes that others are afraid to take off. Where there is Wulong, there is Phoenix Chick. It's better to have a guy than a girl. The girl with the holes all over her face is called a shell. Don't look at her as big as an ox. That's how big it is when you take your clothes off. It's not even close to Amberby. The show gave her a survival score of 6.7, and Cole is the best. He has a survival score of 7.2. Cole is a hunter, good at bow hunting. The results are also very impressive. It's a doe harvester. Years of hunting experience taught him a lot of wilderness survival skills. Such a combination of god and vegetable chicken, or get dragged to death by a chicken, or the gods fly. The two met and made a simple match. Cole is quite happy with Shell, in the middle of nowhere. No one is a picky eater. Each man checked his equipment. Cole brought a bow and arrow. Shell carried a small axe, and an iron pot and a firearm provided by the show crew. They need to hike to a destination 10 kilometers away for the challenge. There were many thorns on the road. It's very dangerous to walk. To find a suitable source of water, they must arrive before dark and set up shelter. Opening day. They talked as they walked along the road. It's a process of getting to know your teammates. Cole thought Shell was too thin, worried she'd run out of energy. That means he needs to do his best to keep his shell fed and healthy. Shell considers itself lucky because she was matched to a fellow bow hunter. Shell was very pleased with Cole. Lap hug. She can't wait to get her hands on it. They also saw many fish here. They walked along the waterway. On the ground, Cole saw some wild boar footprints. There's protein everywhere. There are so many that you can't believe it. Finally got a good look at a big water source. They decided to find a place nearby to set up shelter. This area is relatively flat and shaded. Cole thinks this is a good place to shelter. You just need to clean the grass a little bit. After discussing the plan, we got to work. Shell collects wood for the fire. Cole set up the shelter. Shell collected some hay to make tinder. Then scrape out the spark with a poker. It lit up at once. While Cole was gathering materials, found a lot of these thorns around. You can get your hands scratched if you're not careful, but these fences made of thorns can also keep them safe. Shell was fetching water when she saw a crocodile in the river. All kinds of dangers lurk nearby. Shell brings water back to boil. As long as Cole was drinking water, Shell made 2 braids. While there's still time, Cole plans to explore the neighborhood. They saw a herd of wildebeest on the road. Cole wants to hunt one and eat it, but wild animals are very vigilant. He started running before he could get close. Cole thinks the wildebeest picked up their scent. It made him very excited because there's just too much prey here. At night, they have a fire to keep them warm and a safe place to stay. The first day went well. It was a little after 2 in the morning. They heard animal noises nearby. A rhino appears nearby. It scared them too much to sleep. Time to the next day. Shell slept very happily last night. Cole plans to go hunting today. Cole wasn't used to it yesterday. He only slept a few hours. Now he's eager to show off his skills. There are plenty of wild ducks around. Cole was soon in hunting mode. The twisted limbs slowly draw the bow. He is going to try again tomorrow. Cole gets a headache every time he thinks about drinking water. She was not idle. Make rope out of tree bark. Intended for fishing. Looks like a thrifty young woman. After the bark rope is boiled in hot water, the toughness is much higher. I got a rope and I need a hook. Cole found a dead head. He knocked a block of wood. Polish the block carefully with an axe. And then you get a primitive fishing hook with 2 spikes. All we need is the east wind. They scour the rocks for bait. A mouse-headed shell is simply not up to the job. Cole sees a lot of little fish in the water, and I grabbed one at random. String the small fish on the hook. Don't underestimate this little fish. It turns a bike into a motorcycle. Cole set the hook on the river. The next thing is to wait for the show to release the props. Time came to the 3rd day. A couple of high rollers out fetching water this morning. They came to the shore again, but there's no rush to check out the fishing gear. He started hunting nearby. I put up the bed all night and couldn't figure it out. Cole failed to hunt again, and Shell is doing beauty treatments. They drink Coke with bows and arrows. No sane person would think of this new drink. I drank the water before I remembered to check the fishing gear. Bubbles keep bubbling up under the water. Cole knew there was something down there. Then he pulled a crocodile straight out of the water. The crocodile burped before I knew it. They were celebrating. The crocodile may be small, but there wasn't even a chance to fight. It was a very undignified death for the crocodile. Cole was very excited about the success of the hunt. They used bows and arrows to slaughter crocodiles. The crocodile must have weighed at least 20 pounds, enough to feed them for a few days. It's only day 3, just when I was hungry. That's a quick catch. I couldn't tell if it was their strength or the props team. They had a barbecue in the evening. The roast sipped on the wood carbon. It's gonna be a big night. They kept stuffing the meat into their mouths. You don't even know what it tastes like. There was still a big chunk of crocodile meat roasting on the fire. It's impossible to finish a meal. In the middle of the night, the sky began to thunder. It looks like there's going to be a heavy rain. Time came to the 4th day. They ate this roast for breakfast all morning. After eating, he began to work. They should brace themselves for a heavy rain. Shell is collecting hay. Cole's building the roof of the shelter. They spread hay on the roof of the shelter. Cole didn't know how long the rain would last. I'm worried right now anyway. On the 5th day, the crocodile meat is dried. They have been eating barbecue for the last few days. Eating barbecue every day to survive in the African wilderness. Let me do the survival. We'll probably run out of crocodile meat today. Cole's gonna be in hunting mode again. Shell also started looking for edible plants in the wild. I started out as a vegetarian, but she's been eating most of the barbecue these days. A woman's mouth is a deceitful ghost. Cole disguises himself with charcoal. It helps him hunt. Shell prepares to make dinner at the shelter. She tore off the crocodile meat and simmered it in an iron pot. You'll feel fuller that way. Cole's out there tracking his prey. There are a lot of wild boar footprints by the stream. He's gonna sit here and wait for his prey to show up. Cole's guessing the prey's water route. I figured my spot would be the perfect hunting spot. A few hours later, this high guy comes back. Shell had already made broth waiting for him in the shelter. After sunset, rapid drop in temperature. Cole kept saying it was cold, and she's already in the shelter waiting for Cole to pull the trigger. Worried about people, not enough traffic. I'm going to skip this one. Time came to the 6th day. Cole planned to go hunting early in the morning. Shell was very pleased with last night's performance. She hopes it will be colder this evening. Shell's getting ready for tonight. She collected a lot of hay to make a mattress. This woman has only one thing on her plate. I'm sure it won't take a few days. Cole will be mummified by her. Cole waits by the stream for his prey to appear. He'd rather be out there feeding mosquitoes anyway. I don't want to go back to the shelter and feed Shell. Until after 2 p.m., none of the prey showed up. Cole decided to go crocodile hunting by the pond. He came to the shore and found the crocodile is on an island in the water. Cole tries to catch the crocodile with his bare hands. This high guy's really not afraid to die. Just got out of the crocodile pond to catch a crocodile. He swam slowly to the island to get close to the crocodile. The crocodile was less than a meter in front of his eyes. High Eyes has come up with hundreds of ways to cook alligators.
Oh my God.
It's a pity that it failed again. He filled a pot of water and went back. Told Shell about the alligator catch. He said he came within a few inches of the crocodile. The crocodile was so scared, Cole had to let it go. There's a lot of talk and a lot of bluster here. And Shell's only thinking about getting the mattress ready for tonight. The mattress is finally ready. After sunset, Shell is scarier than a tiger. The time came to the 7th day. Cole came to shore early in the morning to resume his hunt. He stood on the bank trying to shoot the fish. There are a lot of catfish in the water, but unfortunately it didn't hit. Shell was in the shelter thinking about last night. She really understood Cole. Cole saw yesterday's crocodile on the shore again. He decided to catch the crocodile and beat it. Well, Cole's going up against this gator anyway. He dived into the water again to catch the crocodile. One operation is as fierce as a tiger. It doesn't matter if we caught the crocodile or not. One good look for Shell is enough anyway. The time soon came to the 8th day. Cole is going to make spears to hunt alligators. But Shell wanted to make a catfish trap. They came to the shore to plan. Shell's gonna set up catfish traps here. She dug a hole in the ground with a stick. It's the kind of thing Cole could have done. But Shell has some ideas. She just wants Cole to waste his energy on herself. Cole is also preparing for the hunt. They're all struggling to get food. It's better than the ones who lay flat. If Shell's trap succeeds in catching fish, I'm sure they'll be comfortable for the rest of their lives. Cole has already made the spear. He was going to help Shell. The shell hole is finally dug. The water from the river flowed successfully into the pit. This is a masterpiece that Shell took a lot of physical effort to complete. She was desperate to catch a catfish overnight. The time came to the 9th day. The morning temperature was very low. They wake up early. Cole sharpened the spear with a stone, then put it on the fire. This will make the spear stronger. Shell decides to check out yesterday's catfish trap. Just as she stood up, suddenly he fainted on the ground. Cole was stunned. Good thing it was just a fall. He didn't die from the fall. The doctor came to examine Shell. Shell thinks she got up too fast. Sudden blackening of the eyes. The doctor advised her to drink more hot water. All in all, no big deal. And Cole is worried about Shell's health. He needs protein to replenish his shell as soon as possible. Shell lay on the ground in the sun to recharge. She realized she had fainted from hunger. This is not the way to go on. Catfish traps don't catch fish. Maybe it's just a matter of time. Cole found the alligator entrails he discarded. He wants to use the bait to attract another crocodile. Cole stood on the shore watching the crocodiles. The chirping of birds in the trees caught his attention. He just pulls the bow and shoots. But unfortunately, I missed it. He went into the river again and tried to shoot the fish with a bow and arrow. But it's not as simple as he thinks. Today was another day of failure. The time came to the 10th day. By this time, they both felt very hungry. There's still half the time to finish. They have to get food to survive. Cole tries to go hunting every day. Maybe luck was close. He waited from morning until after 6 o'clock in the evening. Finally came across a wild boar out for a walk. This is very close to Cole. He didn't strike when the boar approached. When the boar was gone, he stood up and called his bluff. Such a good opportunity is missed. You deserve to drink water every day. A strong wind began to blow in the evening. They hid under the shelter. It has begun to rain outside. Tonight promises to be a sleepless night. The clock quickly ticks down to 12 days. These two high people have been starved to death. Shell was also very weak. She doesn't have the strength to drain Cole. Cole drank the water and went hunting. He wandered around the jungle. I saw a lot of birds, but none of them were hunting. The time came to the 13th day. See a lot of fish underwater, but I just couldn't hit it. Cole was so embarrassed by the camera. He realized that hunting alone would not work here. The time came to the 14th day. Cole came to the shore again to see the crocodile. The crocodile was flirting with him in the water. Cole's got a temper tantrum all at once. Pick up the fork and dive into the water to fight the crocodile. This high guy is really in a hurry. Got into trouble with the crocodile. Every time he lost, he said it was close. I don't know if you're close. I knew you were in a lot of pain right now. You wouldn't have to keep your hands so tight. If failure is the mother of success, so all the animals in African zoos are your mothers. The shell in the shelter cries for food. Every time I see Cole back, I ask for food. You don't have 10 alligators in your face. The noon sun is very hot. They lay down in the shelter to rest. The time came to day 15. This morning, Shell stuck 2 animal teeth into the ear hole. This look looks very fashionable. Right now, she's the prettiest thing in the African wilderness. Shell goes out to check catfish traps. Look at this back. It should be a surprise. She removed the leaves from the water and walked into the puddle. I touched the water with my hand. I can't believe there's actually something in there. Shell bares her teeth in delight because it means she's about to have a meal of meat. Catfish are slippery and difficult to catch with your bare hands. It was not easy to catch one. She took out the tree tool she had made. Keep groping under the water. Soon another catfish was caught. These 2 catfish. Enough to feed them. Shell harvested 2 catfish today. She takes the catfish back to the shelter. It's not very big though, but these catfish will keep them going for a few more days. When the catfish is cooked, Shell tastes it straight away. But Cole wasn't going to eat it. Shell is very confused. Cole said she wasted energy making traps. She deserves these catfish, but Shell chose to share half of it with Cole. Cole just thought Shell needed protein more than she did. But this is a team game. Shell wants to share the good and the bad. At midnight, Shell suddenly gave a howl. Turns out it was a scorpion sting, except it hurts. There's no discomfort. The time came to day 16. After Shell was bitten by a scorpion last night, it hurt for 4 hours. Fortunately, it's not very toxic. The whole person is okay. Cole was sympathetic to Shell's plight. He was impressed by Shell's active existence. Cole started disguising himself using charcoal. He plans to go hunting again. It doesn't matter if it's fake or not. If you can't catch something, you're almost there. I've heard that 1,000 times. Make up for every hunt. I really fell for this high guy. Cole was running through the jungle with a bow and arrow. By nightfall, there was no harvest. He is constantly looking around. A deer was seen nearby. The deer is just too big. This should be Cole's best chance. Cole picked up his bow and started shooting long ago. The arrow hit the deer successfully, but it missed the mark. Cole retrieves the fallen arrow. There was blood on the arrow. It's only a matter of time before that deer dies. There's a 50-50 chance he'll get the deer. Cole followed the blood trail. It was dark by now. He decided to look for the injured deer tomorrow. Back at the shelter, Cole told Shell about the deer. Want her to go look for the injured deer tomorrow morning. Time came to day 17. Early that morning, they went out to look for deer. It's a tough hike. Very big jungle. How should they look? Cole observed an eagle circling in the sky, which means there's meat down there. Cole looked in that direction, saw some blood on the road. As more and more blood was found, Cole guessed the prey would be nearby. From morning until after 2 p.m., Shell thinks the prey may have been eaten by the hounds. It was a little after 4 in the afternoon. They finally found the deer lying on the ground. I looked for it all day. This deer is really big. Cole was so excited that he began to cry. He thanked the deer very much for bringing him food. I thought he had a conscience. The deer should not have been hunted. I didn't expect him to tell Shell. I was crying for a bite of meat. This high guy really can act. The deer is too big. They can't lift it back. So it had to be slaughtered and broken down. This is the wilderness of Africa. The smell of meat is sure to attract predators. They bring back as much meat as they can. There are 4 days left until the challenge. There's enough meat for them to fill up. I'm making kebabs tonight. A deer heart and liver is for dinner today. They set up barbecue grills in the shelter. Roast the giblets straight on top. Why don't you just cut it into small pieces and bake it on a branch? It's been a busy day. I can finally enjoy a roast dinner. It was the 3rd time they had eaten barbecue. They starved for a dozen days for this roast. In the middle of the night, the smell of roast meat attracts the wild dogs in the neighborhood. I'm afraid to sleep again tonight. The time came to day 18. They roast meat for breakfast. Next thing you know, it's like eating barbecue every day and winning. There's a lot of undercooked meat on the grill. Cole plans to use some of it to make jerky. He cut the meat into strips, put it on the grill. The resulting jerky has less moisture, and it doesn't spoil easily. The oven was covered with strips of meat. It was baked dry in a day. Eating barbecue at the shelter every day. This kind of life is really enjoyable. The time came to the 20th day. Tomorrow is the day of the evacuation. They still have a lot of roast to finish. I can have a roast dinner before I leave. This is really enjoyable. Now they eat barbecue all day long. At night, Shell couldn't sleep at all. I'll be home tomorrow to collect my $100,000 prize. Shell has already figured out how to spend the money. Time came to day 21. Today is evacuation day. They were ready to go after a roast breakfast. Although the weather in Africa is very hot, but the thought of going home makes me enjoy it. No matter how hard and tired I am not afraid. They had to hike 10 kilometers to reach the evacuation point, except for a few thorns along the way. There were no surprises. Soon they reached the evacuation point, successfully completed the 21-day wilderness challenge. So they will go there again in the next episode. Look forward to an update in the next video. He's the fiercest man I've ever seen in the wilderness. A 6-foot-tall man. I cry like a pussy in front of him. The young woman saw him. I got my jaw dropped because this man is crazy. The first thing he does when he wakes up is drink, and ran out like crazy. Ran to the edge of a 100-meter cliff and jumped. Hold your breath in water and meditate. Why is Thor the high guy? Forgive me for taking the wrong film. Our bald head is also a tough guy. He also jumped off a 100-meter cliff when he was drunk. Diving is just normal. I've never seen a tree jump before. The setting for this challenge is again the wilds of South Africa. First up is the bald guy who can't die. His name is Ken. His mother said if he dropped, I'm not afraid to die. Of course, if you fall dead, you can have another one. Skinhead has a rating of 6.3. You're fierce, but you don't have any survival experience. The second contestant is Britt. She is a 38-year-old girl. She works as a wilderness survival instructor. It's basically taking the kids outdoors. He's got a great look, so he stayed single. Britt got a 6.2 as a wilderness survival coach. That's a point that would make her ancestors look up. The third contestant, Chad. He's 6 feet tall and he's mighty. He describes himself as a hunter and survival expert. It's just weekend fishing, actually. A little barbecue in the wilderness. All these high people have to do is have fun, if he says so. From the village, working on the land. Who isn't a land improvement engineer? The fourth contestant, Sarah. She came here like she was going home. Because Sarah is a returning contestant from last season, whether they survive or not. Let's just get in there. You don't just learn from it. Starve to death and drop out. If I don't get hungry, I'll hug my teammate's thigh and whine. This time they will split into 2 teams. After the 11th day, they were combined to complete the next challenge. It doesn't matter what the rules are. What matters is the big bonus. There are many thorns on the road. It's very easy to catch on your nipples when you walk. At this time, the construction is very anxious to see their partners, expecting the other half to be a hunk and a chick. When they met, and the other side is a woman, Sarah and Britt make a team. It's a lot less awkward when you're a girl. On the surface, he was happy. This is 2 girls over here. That must be the sausage party on the other side. Bald guy and Chad team up. It's awkward for 2 high people to mate. I don't dare go too close. If a large household gun is pointed at each other, it is dangerous. Judging by the strength of the 2 teams, the sausage pie has an edge over the girl combo. Bald guy brought an axe, and Chad brought fishing gear. In addition, there are heirloom iron pots and fire sticks prepared by the show team. Britt brought a machete over here with the girls, and Sarah brought a hunting bow. They need to hike to a destination 5 kilometers away for the challenge. There's a lot of serious planning going on at the sausage party, and the girls talking dirty. It's clear that young women still want to match hunky men. The girls chose a shady spot. They will come to the riverbed and live for 10 days. Water is scarce here, but it has many small animals. The sausage party chooses the lake on the map. There's plenty of fresh water and lots of catfish. Both teams are well equipped for the needs of the position. It's approaching winter in Africa. The temperature difference between day and night can be very large. Opening day. The players have to take care of themselves. On the way they walked and talked. 2 high people talking passionately. They saw leopard footprints on the ground. In fact, WeChat is around. The midday sun in Africa is very hot. 2 girls are sweaty from the roast. All the buffalo wanted to do was go up there. Soon they came to the water. They also found animal remains here. Looks very fresh. The bones might even be used in soup. If Gary were here, all the maggots on it, we're gonna roast them. They're looking around here. Find a suitable location for shelter. The sausage party is in the woods. It's very shady here, and there's a whole bunch of fucking black fresh water. 2 sausages of extreme excitement. Pick up the bones and howl. Girls team up, and they find a spot. It's very close to water, and cool enough. Sarah is very fond of this position. They pulled the grass from the ground. Britt is very afraid of the cold. She wanted to build a warm shelter. How does Sarah plan to build the shelter? The 2 men don't agree on anything anyway, because people think about different things. It's just selfishness. I just think about the things I care about. Sarah wants to surround herself, and Britt wants to put the roof up first. Maybe we should pull out our hair and fight. So much for the sausage party. The terrain is flat and shady. They soon worked out a plan and got to work. Sure enough, men do things decisively. Bald man soon lit the fire. Boil the water while you're at it. Then we'll build a shelter together. Clean and clean all the way. Sarah's still talking theory here. Girls can really talk all the time. Britt is cold and tired like an ox. Sarah just stood there and sulked. Anyway, she thought she'd put up the fence before the roof. Britt was too lazy to talk to her. Building a shelter on my own. Britt building the shelter doesn't affect Sarah building the fence. Why isn't it synchronized? There was a lot of conflict between the two. Sarah's been giving theories. Britt just kept working. I doubt she has brains in her head. Sarah collected a lot of wood. She put the wood around her. It's a minute of work and 2 hours of theory, not with all the brambles around. Was she trying to use wood as a shelter fence? They built a fire pit, prepare a fire, and boil water. Britt knows what she wants, you know? I've been doing what's best for me. The first day went well for everyone on the whole, but I'm not used to it yet. Can't sleep at all. They heard a lot of animal noises nearby. There are predators outside the shelter. It's really dangerous without fire. Time to the next day. They drank water for breakfast in the morning, just sitting in the shelter blowing water. Nothing to prepare you for the rest of your life. Sausage party this way. They woke up ready to go fishing. They came to the shore in search of bait. Keep digging under the rocks. Found a lot of bait. Chad brought the hook. I think we'll catch a lot of fish here. He set up several fishing spots here. The location is good. It's up to the props team to release the fish. Britt's fixing up the shelter walls. She piled the wood into a shelter, shaped the wood into a semicircle, then spread leaves on top. In the middle is a fire for warmth. This method is without a doubt the most laborious. It also requires the most wood. You might as well just cut down a few thorns and use them around. But the result is really exquisite. Sarah is ready to start her hunting. She's planning on staking out her prey here. There's a constant hunt on this side of the sausage party. There are many fish in the water. I hope I can catch a fish on my hook. Chad saw a crocodile in the water. They were excited when they saw the crocodile. Bald guy's got 1,000 ways to do it. Chad was checking it out. I found a small fish. The fish may be small, but a successful hunt is something to be happy about. Chad turned to check on the other hooks. It turned out to be a small fish again. This is really unexpected. One for each of the 2 high guys. When they got back to the shelter, they started cooking. The small fish are fried on an iron pan. Britt was having sex at the shelter. 2 girls didn't get anything today. I'm so high, so bored, so lonely. Time came to the 3rd day. 2 high rollers got up early to check out their fishing gear. They actually caught a turtle. This turtle is very big, enough to feed 2 high people. The second hook caught a small fish. Hunting is so easy. Bald guy doesn't feel any pressure. Girl group this way. Sarah's out hunting this morning. She painted herself fucking black, here to watch for passing prey. Wild pigeons come nearby to drink. She stood up and drew her bow to scare away the pigeons. Every hunt failure. I talk about it for hours. My ears are dripping. Britt was hosting relatives at the shelter. My aunt came to visit her today with ketchup. It's not easy for her to hang out when relatives are here. It's easy to get gossiped about not treating relatives well. It's a different story here at the sausage party. They had a very good harvest today, cooking food in the shelter. Bald guy collected some berries. Some strange rituals are performed before the meal. For a moment, I couldn't understand what these two high people were doing. Time came to the fourth day. Sarah came to this location to hunt again, but every time, it was a failure. Failure doesn't matter. 2 hours of experience first. Britt plays with fire at the shelter every day. Can't help it. You can't leave until you've had your period all day. Britt doesn't have much to entertain her relatives right now, does she? The atmosphere is so awkward. Menstruation is so kind. Spread ketchup when you see grass. Britt was helpless, too. Time came to the fifth day. Sarah goes hunting every day. She knew that now Britt was hosting relatives. Sarah had to finish the hunt alone. Paint your face a little darker. Maybe this will improve their own strength. There's actually a lot of prey around. It's just that Sarah's too good. Britt went to the stream to fetch water. She washes the ketchup while she's at it. It wasn't very pretty. I'm worried people will skip without traffic. Show everyone as much as you can about survival. Sarah is so bored out here hunting. I look bored, too. The time came to evening. Maybe that's why Britt took a shower today. In the evening, there was an accident. I'm a serious wilderness explainer. Don't know how to explain it for a while. Please, just give her a band-aid. It's all about stopping the bleeding, right? At midnight, it's still up at the sausage party. Ate a wild turtle today. No girls either. I can sleep with you. It was a little after 4 o'clock in the morning. They're still talking. It's up to you to try something this raw again. Time came to the sixth day. They didn't sleep after dawn. Get out of bed and find something to do. Otherwise, your teammates are in real danger. They came to the shore to inspect the fishing hooks. You got nothing today. That's a big difference. I'm so disappointed when I can't catch a fish. It's worse on the girl's side. Sarah goes out every day empty-handed. The other one just lay there for 7 or 8 days. It's only been 10 days. Your relatives were here for 7 or 8 days. What kind of life is that? A band-aid might help. Britt's in the shelter and the rock is keeping it warm. But for various reasons, I can only code it and not show it to everyone. If you really want to see it, just pick up a rock and put it on yourself. I'm a serious survival commentator anyway. Now they are desperate for food. It doesn't matter if you get food or not. Think about the day first. The time came to the 7th day. There's no hunting at the sausage party every day. The only source of protein is fishing. Chad couldn't sleep every night. Now he feels very tired. Didn't even bother to check the hook. Bald Man suspected that Chad had freed him. That's why I don't feel strong. He came to the shore to check the fishing rod, but there was nothing to be gained. Didn't the show any fish these days? Chad lay confused in the shelter. He felt that lack of sleep was killing him. It is difficult to sleep well in the wild. Soon the time came to the 9th day. Britt's relatives are finally gone. Now she felt empowered. She went outside in search of food. I want to contribute something to the team. Find some edible berries in the jungle. Luckily, she found it. Sarah still hunts here every day, but every day there was no food to hunt. Just a waste of time here. Good thing girls are hungry. This is berry soup today. It's these girls' first meal. Eat berries and leaves together. They were very happy to have something to eat. Because the day after tomorrow is the day of assembly. This berry soup is sure to give them strength. The sausage party is really looking forward to the merger. I want to know who it is. Basically, I'm just waiting for a girl. The time came to the 10th day. Chad woke up this morning very tired. He hasn't been able to sleep these days because his thigh was badly burned. Bald Guy is worried about Chad's health. I could have lost a teammate. Chad wasn't under a lot of stress. I didn't catch any fish today. They've run out of bait. Why don't you just keep digging? Chad is as weak as a high. Can't sleep at night. I don't sleep during the day. Chad the high guy is already under suspicion, wondering if he's really a high. Bald Guy was watching nearby. Found a lot of rabbit holes in the ground. At the same time, I'm worried about Chad. Chad finally finds Bald to speak his mind. She began to cry before she could say the words. 6-foot big guy crying like a pussy in front of Bald Guy. Bald Guy already guessed what he was thinking. Eventually, Chad the high guy opted out of the competition, leaving the Bald Guy at a loss. Chad couldn't stand not sleeping every night. I think it's too much torture. Of course, Bald Guy's charm is also a pressure on him. If he doesn't leave early, Bald Guys will eat every girl they meet. It's awkward being a light bulb by yourself. Chad's departure is understandable because their physical condition is so different. Girls might flock to skinheads. To avoid embarrassment, might as well just go home. Girl group this way. Sarah is getting ready for tomorrow's hike. She is going to make a sunshade hat. These branches are very elastic. It's perfect for a hat. Britt's afraid of dying in the sun, so she made a hat too. Soon they made a hat. It looks very fashionable. Britt also has a lot of rope. I hope I can use it. Chad left his fishing line with Bald. We're going for a long hike tomorrow. Bald Guy goes to check the fishing hooks. I hope I catch some fish. When Bald Guy pulls up his fishing line, I found a fish. This is so lucky. There's enough fish for Bald Guy to eat. Catching a fish restored his confidence. When he pulled up the second fishing line, I didn't expect to catch a bigger catfish. This catfish weighs about 10 pounds. Enough to feed him for 2 days. It's a shame Chad dropped out today. Bald Guy gets all the good stuff. He thanked Chad for the hook. Bald Guy's gonna eat a little catfish. The big ones are left for the new team to share. He cut the catfish around, and then just skewer it on a stick. Fish heads can be eaten in a stew. Why? This high guy doesn't eat fish heads. One catfish is enough to feed him. The meat is good enough. Time came to the 11th day. Today is evacuation day. He daubed his head with ash, mainly to protect them from the sun. And we're ready for the girl group. They set off early in the morning. Bald Guy bagged water-fresh catfish before he left. They need to hike 10 kilometers to reach the rendezvous point. The girl has packed everything and is on her way. Bald Guy's on the road, too. It's a little after 9 in the morning. They feel very hot and thirsty. Bald Guy is heavy with fish, and the food starts to spoil. I hope we can get together soon. For 3 hours straight. They haven't gotten there yet. And here I met a wild buffalo. Good thing Britt didn't have any ketchup on him. 2 girls locked eyes with the buffalo. The buffalo is a dangerous animal in Africa. They stand here afraid to move. The buffalo got bored and turned around. Scared the hell out of these 2 bitches. Soon they came to their destination. The sausage sees 2 mussels. They get excited. The young woman Sarah was the first to carry it. The 2 performed a simple match. Quite satisfied, apparently. The first thing you ask is how many toilets are in the house. The inner meaning is whether the house is big or not. Bald Guy says he lives in Norway with a lot of toilets. Pull and go green. A hole in the Norwegian forest. After pulling, the forest is thick with fat. I don't know anyone when I'm out there. Identity is self-given. If you want anything, just let me know. Okay. The other side doesn't know anyway. Bald Guy picked girl surprised. Don't get it wrong. It's just an alligator. Britt was as happy as a baboon to eat meat. They planned their next destination. 10 kilometers west of the original rendezvous point. There's a big puddle here. I've been walking all day, though very tired. Sarah full of men are thinking of Bald Brother. It's really scary when a young woman gets crazy. I think they're gonna bleed and dry. They soon came to the watering hole. Here's a shady spot, perfect for a shelter. A crocodile in the water caught their attention. Maybe we can catch alligators with catfish heads. What Bald Guy doesn't know is, 2 young women are worse than crocodiles. They build shelters together. This time there are no theories. Sarah's not in the mood for work. All I want to do is drain Bald Guy. Someone else is mowing the grass, while she sat in the shelter resting. At last it was time for dinner. Each of you is roasting a piece of catfish. The fish is roasted very well. It's gonna be a big night. They bake for a couple of hours. The meat is finally cooked. The happiest person is Sarah. The event lasts until after 1 o'clock in the evening. Sarah was finally content to lie down and rest. Time came to day 12. In the morning, they roast catfish for breakfast. The catfish is very fragrant. The girls can't stop eating. Bald Guy brought the catfish. I raised these 2 girls, 2 women and a man in the wilderness. It's exciting to think about. Bald Man came to the shore to fish. He was afraid the crocodile would destroy his hook, but fish still have to be caught. The rest of the hunt might have to be bareheaded, although very tired, but it's worth it to have 2 girls. The girls are perfecting the shelter. A couple of young women with a family. On the 13th day, Britt saw a crocodile in the river. Sarah saw it, too. This crocodile is really big. Crocodiles are just good in the water. It's a mindless pig on the shore. The time came to the 14th day. Sarah came to the shore to set up a hunting spot. I don't care if this girl is a little darker, but all is not lost. At least she's active in the hunt. Hunting is another matter. At least she's not in the shelter waiting for Bald Guy to come back and talk. If she hunts a crocodile, the day of the roast and the bonus. Bald Guy to check the hook. I didn't expect to catch a rock. Something's wrong with the props team. All 4 decoys are gone. He's looking for bait all over again. Sarah stayed here until the sun went down. No gain at all. The time came to day 15. They saw crocodiles not far from the shelter. This crocodile is really big. It's too bad these contestants are wimps. Turn around every time you see an alligator. Just take a bow and arrow and shoot it, or hit it with a rock. Sarah, you have such big boobs. Afraid of a crocodile. She smeared herself with mud to disguise himself in this way. I come here every day to hunt. Bald Guy has been fishing for nothing here. He began to feel dizzy. Looks like it's getting bled dry by the chicks. At night, there's prey all around. Sarah hid in the shelter, afraid to make a sound. Time came to day 17. Bald Guy found the gator next to the shelter this morning. Such a great hunting opportunity. Why don't you go catch this crocodile? 3 guys with a stick each. These hippies are so incompetent. No ability to eat grass. Girls can eat anything. Okay. Skinhead just wants to eat meat anyway. Britt's been very active these last few days. After all, the relatives have only been gone a few days. All she can think about is Bald Guy. The time came to day 18. Brett woke up one morning feeling unwell. The arm is very sore and soft. The muscles feel tingling. Bald guy works every day. He's the coolie on the team. No fish were caught. He's not motivated to do anything right now. Sarah went out hunting every day with no luck. Wild pigeons are abundant in the vicinity. She's just sitting here watching and not doing anything. Sarah wasn't even out hunting, just out to pass the time. The time came to day 19. Sarah lies down every day. Bald guy's about to be squeezed dry. Sarah's the only one still looking good. Sarah came to the shore to check the fishing hooks. The bait is still on the hook. Aren't there any fish in this spot? Maybe they were all eaten by crocodiles. Sarah rearranged the hook. I hope we catch some fish. Bald guy digging holes in the ground. Anyone who didn't know would think he wanted to shit. He was just looking for water. This is closer to the water hole. The Gary that can dig out of the water is very big, and the water here is filtered, although it looks dark. But as long as it doesn't kill you. Sarah's been fishing here. The crocodile was swimming about in the water. If it were just me, I'd have stoned it by now. Throw it once you see it. Sarah's fishing here. I never thought she'd catch a turtle. This is a tough guy. Turtle was up all night at the last sausage party. Sarah actually started crying when she caught the turtle. I'm starving to death and pretending to be a virgin. They're processing turtle meat on the shore. At night they roast turtles in the shelter. Eat this wild turtle. The beds are gonna break tonight. Bald guy is in danger tonight. I don't think anyone's gonna save him if he screams. Time came to day 21. Today is evacuation day. They were very happy. They drained me last night. Bald guy feels his legs go limp. When we get back, we get a $100,000 bonus. No matter how hard it is, no matter how tired it is. They had to hike 5 kilometers to the evacuation point. There were no surprises, right? Walked for 3 hours. At last, they reached their destination. So who else is going to be here next time? Look forward to an update in the next video. This is the most enjoyable wilderness survival I've ever seen. They don't just have an endless supply of coconuts. Many crabs were also caught, built large luxury shelters, and a big girl to keep you company. Would you like to participate in such a wilderness survival? This challenge takes place in the jungles of Colombia. This is a stifling area. The weather is changeable. The jaguar is the apex predator here. This female protagonist is 33-year-old big wave girl Maru. She used to watch my survival videos on YouTube, think they can get $100,000 easily. So this time she signed up for the experience. My favorite thing to do is to eat corn on the couch. Only after watching my survival videos. Didn't really try. It can be said that the theoretical knowledge is strong. The actual operation is zero. This time the hero is Kyle. He's in the same situation as Maru. I mostly watch my YouTube videos. They think they can get the $100,000 prize by simply starving, so he signed up to give it a try. Maru and Kyle are both fans of the show, so this survival is just a fan challenge. They only have to survive 14 days to claim the $100,000 prize. $100,000 is a lot, but the contestants are required to be naked. $100,000 in 14 days. That's a lot. Soon the two met. Maru volunteered to make a match. As soon as we met, Maru said that he was an expert in paper negotiations. The implication is that I'm all talk and no action. Kyle said he'd seen 100 of my explications, familiar with how bigwigs have challenged the show. Maru means with your strength and my brain. I'm sure I can eat hot and spicy here. These high rollers really have the guts to say anything. Maru brought a big roll of duct tape. I was speechless for a moment. If I was dumb, I'd say something to her. Past players have brought film with them, but the effect is not good. So she's going to give it to past contestants in this challenge. Proper use of hard film in the wilderness. Restore duct tape's reputation with strength. Prove it's not a piece of crap. Kyle brought a machete. There are also the fire sticks and iron pots provided by the show team. They need to hike 10 kilometers to reach the water source. The weather is very hot now. The 10 kilometers hike is the easiest challenge to start with. Opening day. They walked along the river. Walking straight through the water is really not afraid to die. But there are crocodiles in the river. The two walked and talked. Walked for hours. The stones on the road are very rough. Maru proposed using duct tape to make a pair of shoes. They took the tape off and folded it in half, then make a small hole in the side. Then tie the tape around your feet. A simple pair of duct tape slippers. Kyle's cheerfulness pleased Maru. The sun was very high in the afternoon. They feel like they're baked. At least the duct tape shoes gave them some comfort. The pair also gave the shoes 5 stars. It was a little after 4 in the afternoon. At last they reached their destination. There is a large bamboo forest here. I also saw the big tree on the map. After 8 hours of walking, we finally arrived. They decided to build a shelter here. There are coconut trees here. There are many holes in the ground. Kyle guessed it was a coconut crab burrow. This location is close to a water source. They decided to build a shelter here. It gets dark in about 3 hours. They must set up shelter as soon as possible. First, make the fire to boil the water. Maru was very excited when she saw the fire. Fetch water from the shore and burn it. The next step is to build a shelter. Maru wants to build an A-frame. The two men soon came to an agreement. Kyle cut down trees. Maru clears an empty site. I used to watch videos. Now it's really my turn. When Kyle cut down the trees, bitten by a falling red fire ant. Now he felt a burning pain all over. These red fire ants are no joke. The bite really hurts. Although it didn't kill you, but it must be uncomfortable. They're gonna build a bed off the ground. It's getting dark now. The frame of the bed isn't even finished yet. Maru realized he needed to move faster. There are too many ants around. It's easy to get bitten. Maru wants to find a place where there are no ants. This tree looks nice, so they decided to build a shelter here. Kyle taped the branches. Build a slanted cover directly next to the tree. Then cover with palm leaves. Soon it got dark. There are many mosquitoes at night. This light does not repel mosquitoes. Instead, it has the effect of attracting mosquitoes. Maru feels like he's been eaten alive by mosquitoes. Tonight promises to be a sleepless night. This place is crawling with bugs. Time to the next day. They didn't sleep last night, constantly being attacked by mosquitoes. Now Kyle feels pain all over. I'm glad I didn't suck them into mummies. Maru, can you not wear your eyelashes? This is a really bad party. It's only the first night. They have 13 more nights like this. Today's plan is to find some coconuts to eat. Kyle sees some crabs here, but it's impossible to catch. Although the crab was not caught, but a lot of coconuts were collected. Realized coconut freedom. Maru tasted the sweet coconut water. Frankly, it's the best coconut water she's ever had. The weather is so hot now. These coconuts bring cooling. It saved their lives. Now there's water and fire and shelter and coconuts. That's pretty much a dream start. Midnight. The sky began to rain heavily. There are no mosquitoes tonight, but the wet and cold are still hard. Dead either way. Trying to get a good night's sleep is sad to win the lottery. Time came to the third day. Today they're going to remodel the shelter. Kyle plans to add a wall next to the shelter. This will keep you warmer. In a previous program, the players are really embarrassed to keep the fire going in the rain. I learned my lesson from last night's rain, so they want to build a fire shelter. They also want to build an enclosed shelter. After we finalized the plan, the two men began to gather materials. There is a lot of bamboo around. First, they had to make a shelter for the fire. Carl collects bamboo for the frame. Maru collects palm leaves for roofing. The resources around here are really good. I have to say the show took care of the fans. Kyle finished the frame in no time. The fire is just under the frame. This Neza has an idea of his own. She didn't think it would keep the fire out of the rain, but Kyle thought it would definitely protect the fire. Maru thinks the fire burns the bamboo. Neza's not happy right now, because Kyle didn't give her what she wanted. She theorized for 2 hours to prove her idea was right. I just want to jump up and slap her. Maru wondered why the bamboo baffle was under it, instead of sitting in the rain. Actually, it's a heat-reflecting wall that Kyle made. Maru did not realize that his theoretical knowledge was inadequate, and said it was useless. Kyle's starting to have a problem with the mouth-watering king. Actually, Kyle was right about the heat-reflecting wall. If you've seen my previous videos, the big guys survive in the snowy mountains. I've made reflective walls like this. The heat from the fire is blocked by the stone and reflected onto the body. Thus, it has a better thermal effect. But for what Kyle did, it's like negating Maru's earlier theory. So this Neza is very unhappy right now. It means I can be wrong, but you can't say it. I'm fucking laughing at you. Night. It began to rain heavily again. And sure enough, Kyle got kicked out. Fortunately, the fire is safe tonight. It's raining hard and Kyle's still watching the fire. People who have been married and people who haven't know what's going on. During the day, the Neza was angry. I still want to sleep together at night. There's no way. But it's a challenge Kyle won't take. The two had a fight in the shelter. Time came to the fourth day. Maru started tearing down the shelter early that day because she collected these palm leaves. This bitch is a little crazy. Neza vows to make Kyle regret it. Kyle took a shit this morning and came back. I said I was sorry to Maru right away. After Kyle apologizes, Maru's face changed in an instant. I mean, that's a pretty easy one. And she forgave her fight with Kyle last night. Maru says Kyle is smart. Well, he's a good man. Otherwise, he would have had a hard time. Today, they decided to continue remodeling the shelter. Maru wants to build a fully enclosed shelter and sleep off the ground. The two men began to gather materials again. The familiar division of labor. Maru is looking forward to the new shelter. In a previous program, two people said to do it. Kyle collects bamboo. Eat coconuts when you're hungry. The frame was set up in no time. A brand new shelter in a few hours. This looks really good. Maru is happy to fly. They're really good with their hands. They were very happy to see their new shelter. Forget about them. I look at this shelter and I feel good. This is probably the best shelter for a two-man challenge. In the evening, the sky began to rain heavily again. They were not bothered at all by the heavy rain tonight. Not only are there no mosquitoes on rainy days, the fire was burning well beside it, even though it was raining hard outside. But it doesn't stop them from getting a good night's sleep. I really thought I'd get a good night's sleep, but the rain didn't stop. The ground began to seep. She's got legs. Another sleepless night. The time came to the 8th day. It rains here every day. Water began to accumulate around the shelter. The tropical monsoon climate is really torturous. It rains here almost every day. Their shelter began to fail, but Maru is grateful to be alive. The palm leaves began to dry up. Their shelter is getting worse. Want to live more familiar. The shelter must be perfected daily. The time came to the 9th day. It didn't rain last night. Kyle slept very soundly. There are plenty of coconuts around, but Kyle wants to try crabs. This belongs on the coast. These little blue crabs are everywhere, but Kyle would rather catch some coconut crabs. He was going to put the coconuts in front of the hole and catch them. Kyle put the shredded coconut on the ground, then wait for the crab to come out. Maru was fetching water. Saw a crab on the ground. Pick up a stick and rattle it. This bitch really caught a crab. Sure enough, a girl is not a person. The crab gave her a lot of confidence, and Kyle hasn't been able to get anywhere here. He felt that the crab was mocking him, but I finally caught a crab. He took the crabs back to the shelter. Maru also said he caught a crab. Today is their day of victory. There's more than just coconuts to eat, and crabs. Time came to day 13. Tomorrow is the day of the evacuation. Malucci, check the evacuation map. They need to build a raft to take the water to the ocean, but there are a lot of caimans in the water. The two men agreed to build a raft. There's nothing but bamboo here, but they need to test the bamboo's buoyancy. They put 2 bamboo sticks on the water. Then everybody take a seat. The feeling of a up and down to Maru sit high. I'm a serious wilderness explainer. Please don't do anything immoral in front of me. I have no shame. It's just a simple test. The buoyancy is still very good, but a lot of bamboo needs to be cut down. In a previous program, hey guys, just use a large bamboo raft to evacuate. Maru also wants to build a big bamboo raft. Kyle is cutting down bamboo. The structure of the raft had already been planned. Maru uses vines to make ropes. She was just here to prove herself when she was watching the video. Learned a lot of useful skills. I mean, this girl's not pretty, but it was a very good survival. 2 fans put what they learned into practice. Success has made it possible for me to live here. They soon built the raft, but barely enough to hold 1 person. It would have been just fine if it had been Maru, but they don't plan to keep improving the raft. Kyle is going to swim with the raft. Tomorrow is the day of the evacuation. They can't sleep at night, because you're going to get $100,000 tomorrow. Already figured out how to spend your money. The time came to the 14th day. They woke up early that morning. Kyle disguises himself with charcoal, and Maru made her own breast cover out of duct tape. She's got legs. Put on this bra. I finally don't have to type. I could use 2 packs of tissues in the comments section from this perspective. They launched the raft. Maru sat on the raft. Kyle's doing a manual push underwater. There was no danger in any evacuation. It's a long way to go, but in the face of $100,000, these high people have nothing to worry about. Soon they were out in open water. Successful sighting of the crew's evacuation vehicle. So what other players will come here next time? Look forward to an update in the next video. This is the most authentic wilderness survival I've ever seen. Players for the 100,000 prize money. Starving in the wilderness for 21 days. She starved herself to death. You can't eat a turtle. All I ate was some palm fruit and grilled fish. During the evacuation, she had been too hungry to walk. Finally, we have to wait until the show finds her. The location of this challenge is the wilderness of Colombia. It's a sun-baked prairie. It's also where the Teletubbies are filmed. Wildlife is even more numerous. A mountain lion can eat a little friend at any time. Hundreds of pounds of wild cone snakes are everywhere. This time the man is the gay man. He likes amphibians very much. Often catch some cold-blooded animals in the wild to play with. What snakes and turtles? We'll stew it when we're done. Just this particular hobby. He considers himself a herpetologist. These gringos. If you have a thick skin, the whole family is an expert. The heroine is Fairyland. It's a long name. Let's call it Rand. But she won't reveal her age. Look at her body. Let's call her a 40-year-old girl. Rand was an acrobat. Her riding skills are superb. No man can survive her for 3 seconds. But there was an accident. That's why I quit my job and went back to work. I used to ride horses in the cornfields when I was plowing. She felt she had learned a lot about wilderness life. The 2 men simply greeted each other after meeting. This is the first unpaired pair. The 2 did not communicate much. I went straight to check my backpack. Rand brought a machete. Gay man brought a mosquito net. And the show's lighter and iron pot. The 2 check the map to get to their destination. The distance is really long. If it wasn't for $100,000, this is a really desperate road. Opening day. The two walked along the road and talked. It's all grass. It's relatively easy to walk. Gay guys know more about Lachio. I'm looking forward to catching Lachio here. Rand is a vegetarian. In this environment, I think she'll appreciate how delicious meat is. Soon they left the grass. Into the jungle. They heard water here. But where is the water source? After a careful search, at last a stream was found. The water is flowing. There happens to be a big empty lot nearby. This is a great place for a shelter. There are plenty of resources nearby. The two decided to build a shelter here. Rand wanted to build a bed off the ground, then put mosquito nets on it. It's a very good idea indeed. It's very simple for White. After the two had planned everything, I started cutting branches to build shelters. Rand clears a clearing. Make sure there are no bugs under the bed. He said he was gonna bleed gay men dry tonight. The shelter isn't ready yet. She wants to start a fire. Rand called out the gay boys. While pretending to be busy, gay guy gets down on the ground and starts a fire. Rand was surprised to see the chrysanthemums blooming in the back. We still have a few hours before dark. Gay man thinks shelter is the most important thing. Rand is lighting the fire again. He's got a really big fire stick. Can't get it started. The shelter hasn't been built yet. Looks like it's either a fire or a shelter today. No fire can be killed by mosquitoes. Mosquito bites can also kill you without shelter. If it were me, I'd be dead. Night. Mosquitoes in full force. Fortunately, the two brought mosquito nets. The mosquito netting outside smelled of meat. Rand did not seem to be affected at the shelter. It began to rain heavily in the middle of the night. Two high men shivering with the cold. Time to the next day. I slept terribly last night. Neither could have slept a night, although protected by mosquito nets. But I got a lot of bites too. The goal today is to build a fire and perfect the shelter. Building a shelter is simple, but building a fire is a skill. A gay man can't make a fire. The failure to build the fire was a great shock to him. Rand keeps trying, although there is smoke out, but it won't start. I guess it's too humid out here. Kimon looked for some dry materials nearby. He found an abandoned bird's nest by a stream. These materials are surprisingly dry. It's probably because of the sun. He told Rand the news. This might actually start a fire. After getting tinder, they tried again to make a fire. Rand was scraping with the knife. I can't believe it actually lit up this time. They maintained the fire with great care. I can't speak out loud, afraid to put out the fire. After having a fire, gay man also feels a lot more confident. The fire failed yesterday. Almost made him impotent. The whole person is not confident. The next plan was to find food. Gay man wants to find some protein. Rand quickly boiled a pot of water to quench his thirst. For her, fire is everything. Time comes tonight. The mosquito that sucked blood last night. We've got family and friends here tonight, but I learned my lesson from last night. Two high men covered up their mosquito nets tonight. Call for mosquito nets from relatives and friends tonight. It's going to be branded as a pyramid scheme. Time came to the third day. Gay guy gets up early. Making fun of last night's mosquitoes is crazy. Vowing to wage a lasting war against the mosquito. They have 20 more days to fight this long war. Master Durex will help you win this long battle. Rand was also exploring nearby. She found a nest of ants. Stabbed the ant's nest with a knife. These termites release chemicals called terpenes. When burned, it acts as a natural mosquito repellent. I hope these things work. Gay man is exploring by the stream. He picked up a stone in the stream. It's very smooth on the body. It's a good thing. Rand quickly covered himself. It's like finding fancy skincare. The next thing you know, two high guys aren't just wearing stockings. Rand painted it like a ghost. He's got legs. I really fell for these two high guys. I've seen dumb players, but I've never seen a player without a brain in his head. It's a hell of a fight to keep mosquitoes out. Time came to the fourth day. Today, their goal is to find proteins. Now they are very hungry. Gay man polished a spear, then heated up to make it harder. He explored the stream with a spear. You can tell at a glance if there are fish in the stream, not even a bug but water. Rand is also exploring nearby. She wants to eat Lachio. There aren't many weeds around, but plants and streams. In fact, wild animals are very abundant. If you can make hunting traps, I think we're gonna have a good time here. Gay guy was wandering around with a branch. Even if a wild boar showed up, he couldn't hunt it. They searched everywhere in the neighborhood. Gay man sees a deep hole. There are a lot of little fish here. There could be big fish down there. Rand threw some ants on the water. Attract a lot of small fish competing for food. But there are no big fish to be seen. Neither of them had much hope for that, did they? Turtle is walking nearby. Being seen by gay man. This red-spotted turtle is a big treasure. It weighs about 13 pounds. Enough to feed two. But tortoises are protected animals here. They can't eat the turtle, so he had to let him go again. They had to go back to looking for Lachio. Time came to the fifth day. They were lying in the shelter when they heard something. Gay man rummaged through the wood looking, but didn't find anything. Gay men go out every day looking for food, but food seems to be scarce here. He found some palm fruit nearby. I picked it with my bare hands and got bitten by a red fire ant. The pain lasts for 12 to 24 hours. These palm fruits are rare food for him. Gay guys don't want to give up. He's taking the palm fruit back to the shelter. These palm fruits have been their food for 5 days. Rand was very grateful to Gay for bringing her food. Gay man split the fruit with a knife. It doesn't seem very tasty, but Rand didn't think it mattered, as long as it's nutritious. The gay guy sat down and didn't want to eat, just ran nibbling away. Food is very important for survival. Gay man feels very insecure when he can't find food. Rand urged him to be more confident. It's a money-giving show. It doesn't matter if you eat or not. The important thing is to make it to 21 days. Rand continued to encourage the unconfident gay man. When Rand went to fetch water, the gay guy called the show. He said he didn't come here to starve, and he doesn't want to starve off the money from the show. Said he'd rather go home than take the money from the show. Heard him say that. I'm gonna break my teeth. The 13 is so high up in your mind. When Rand comes back, Keenan and Rand who's quitting and going home. Of course Rand didn't want Gay to leave, but he's done. They hugged and cried before leaving. One is because I can't feel sad. One is the sadness of losing the workforce. No more legs to hold. This is heartbreaking. I mean, Gay's a little early, but his spirit of not paying for nothing. Couldn't agree more. Rand was left in pain. Gay guy just left. Not dead, okay. There's no need to cry for so long. After Gay left, Rand's first thought was to perfect the bed. She went outside to collect some hay. Food is not much to find. Let yourself sleep more comfortably at night. On the 8th night, the sky began to rain heavily. The rain has lasted for hours. Rand hasn't been able to sleep. She was just looking forward to the morning. Tonight promises to be a sleepless night. The time came to the 9th day. The heavy rain continued into the morning. Rand hid in the shelter, afraid to go out. These leaves are very good at keeping out the rain. She hid in the shelter and was unaffected by the rain. It was a little after 1 p.m. The rain is still so merciless. Rand's iron pan was already full of water. No fire, no rain. Time came to the 11th day. The heavy rain stopped at last. Rand smeared it with carbon ash. Mosquitoes go crazy on a night without rain, so she has to take precautions against mosquitoes. Rand was already very hungry. I have no strength to work. She doesn't have any hunting abilities, does she? Just hanging around the neighborhood. When tired, lie down on the ground and rest. The fingers of the left hand began to ache. The firm grip feels weak. She doesn't know what caused it. The photographer was also concerned about her state of health. Got her a doctor to check her out. The doctor asked her if she had been bitten by anything, gave her a quick checkup, and blood pressure was measured. The final conclusion was that she was starving. The doctor advised her to eat more meat and drink more water. Supplement various proteins. Just keep up with the nutrition and you'll be fine. Although the doctor's advice is a little vague, but Rand was initially afraid her doctor would advise her to withdraw. It was hard for her to even stand up. The time came to the 14th day. Rand always remembered the doctor's advice. She starts a custom fishing plan today. To catch fish, you must make fishing traps. She cut off part of the mosquito net with a knife, then used the branches to simply form a circle. Rand wants to make a net to catch fish. Then you put the mosquito net on it. A large net is all you need. She took her net to the stream and began to fish, blindly fishing in the water with a net. But there are no fish to catch. Fish or no fish. In her state, it's hard to take shit from a dog. The time came to day 16. Rand came to the shore every day to fetch water. She saw 2 red palm nuts. Rand picked it up very confused. Think there must be a tree with this fruit nearby. So she quickly started a search. Sure enough, she found a lot of palm fruit. There's more palm fruit than she can eat. She wiggled her hips happily. Rand collected a lot of palm nuts to take home. Ripe palm fruit is like an egg. The flesh gave her an orgasm. In the evening, the sky began to rain heavily again. The shelter finally failed. Rand braved the rain to tidy up the shelter. It was a very difficult moment for her. She doesn't know how to spend the night. It rained harder and harder during the night. Rand vomited in the shelter. Time came to day 17. Last night was the hardest she's ever had. He also vomited. Could be the palm fruit. All that was left of her shelter was a mosquito net. A few leaves won't do much, will they? She decided to move to the prairie. Why move now? She lay down on the grass to rest. They started building shelters here in the afternoon. The sky began to rain heavily again. Rand rested in the shelter. This shelter certainly can't withstand a heavy rain. But Rand no longer had the energy to improve. She just hoped it would be a light rain tonight. I'm hungry and tired now. She just wants a good night's sleep. The time came to day 18. Rand isn't dead yet. She thought last night was the hardest. Now she's like a zombie. She came to the stream to catch fish. Use ant nests as bait. There are a lot of small fish here. You can eat hundreds of them and still feel hungry. Besides, she didn't catch any of them, but luck favored her. Rand caught a small fish. She shouted with excitement. You could fit a banana in your mouth. This little fish is the only protein she's caught in 18 days. After the excitement, she began to feel sad, because Rand is a vegetarian. For survival, she killed 3 little fish today. So I feel like I'm not a thing. Rand fried the fish on an iron pan. After 10 days of hunger, I finally had a meal of meat. Today's grilled fish dinner is really hard one. It too tastes really good. There's only one left that I can't eat. But my hand still involuntarily caught this little fish and stuck it in my mouth. Time came to the 20th day. Tomorrow is the day of the evacuation. But it's raining hard again today. The rain was meant to deal her a final blow. Although the process is difficult, but the thought of leaving tomorrow with a $100,000 bonus. Instead, she began to gain momentum. The rain in the evening was really heavy. The water outside is flowing into the shelter. I feel like I'm lying on a waterbed, even when the sky thundered. But Rand's mouth is still raised, because she thought about the $100,000 prize. It was like the little match girl. Every time she lit a match, she saw herself in a beautiful situation. And then he dies in a dream. Time came to day 21. Today is evacuation day. Rand is alive, though she had the same experience as the little match girl. But the results were very different. Rand slowly crawled out of the shelter. There's a hike ahead. She took out her map and looked at it. It's north from the prairie through the jungle, though it's a long way. But Rand's state is happy. Simply grab a backpack and head out. Every evacuation without incident, facing a $100,000 reward. The runners will climb to their destination. Rand was the only contestant to starve for 21 days. Except for the fish. They're basically not eating. So who else will be here for the next episode? Look forward to an update in the next video. This must be the most enjoyable wilderness survival I've ever seen. Hot chick catches a big turtle. A big pot of stew to the brim. Big guy fishing in Africa and getting soft. The fish took the bait too hard. Dozens of caddies of fish were harvested. A large pot of fish soup was simmered. You just can't stop eating. I'm brushing my teeth when I'm full. A 5-star experience in the wilds of Africa. Our challenge is in the wilderness of Africa. It's winter in Africa. It gets colder at night. The region is home to some of the deadliest animals on the continent, like the lovely Nile crocodile, a hippo and a cesspit. This time the male protagonist is Black Marlin. I was a little cold when I first arrived in Africa. He is a boxer. Often participate in fake boxing to get bonuses. But he really likes to challenge himself. He's an unbeatable god in the ring. That's why he's here to challenge himself to 21 days of survival. He was going to be the man who beat the wild. Erin. She's a 30-year-old woman. She also found Africa a bit cold. I'm excited and nervous to be here. Erin's goal this time is to make it to day 21, because his wife Monica also completed the 21-day challenge. Because of this challenge. And that's what motivated her to compete, ostensibly to challenge myself. In fact, money is too easy to make. $100,000 for 21 days of starvation. Irene was already looking forward to seeing her company. I hope they don't mind bringing a cannon. After meeting, the two men simply shook hands. Black Gomelin's opposite girl is to bring the gun. It was so embarrassing. This young woman's cannon is bigger than her own. Nothing to say but an awkward smile. They brought fishing line and a machete, and the iron pot provided by the show. They need to hike 5 kilometers to reach the water source. Far is not far. Said it would break a leg. Opening day. The two walked and talked. Irene had 7 years of experience in the army. Became a cop after the Air Force. But I was assigned to patrol the roughest areas. She likes the wildlife very much. Erin thinks she's pretty good at dealing with problems when she's a cop. Can deal with all kinds of problems. So challenge yourself this time. And Black Brother said his wife also successfully challenged 21 days. So I have to come myself. Black Brother is a boxer. He also enjoyed the wildlife very much.
Eva hunted successfully.
He believes he can survive 21 days in the wild. Both are survival enthusiasts, but they've never been in the field. On the way they saw many animal bones. Black Brother, take the cow bones. In 4 hours. At last they reached their destination. There is a large water source here. They ran to it excitedly. The two decided to build a shelter nearby. They found a clearing. I started weeding and clearing the field. They cut down the trees around them, enclose it as a shelter. There are a lot of thorns here. It can effectively fend off the attacks of wild animals, but not against the beast. Facing such a white young woman, Black has a good chance of turning into a monster. Once the shelter is set up, next is the fire. The environment in Africa is relatively dry. It's easy to start a fire. You can do a lot of things with fire. Most of Africa's water supplies contain hippos. As long as there are hippos in the water, it's basically a septic tank. If the water doesn't boil, it's likely to mutate after drinking it. The two went out to fetch water together. Put the iron pan on the fire and boil. Soon the water boiled. In the evening, They went back to the shelter early. The wilds of Africa are terrifying. Two people do not dare to go out to the night market. The sound of the birds frightened the black brother. They kept burning wood for warmth in the shelter. There was a constant noise of animals nearby. Crocodiles are very rude when they forage for food. Time to the next day. They woke up early in the morning. I didn't sleep well yesterday. Aaron only slept about 3 hours. In the evening, I heard the call of the hippo. She was watching with a machete. The time came to the 14th day. The young woman woke up after 6 o'clock. She boiled a pot of water in the shelter. The hippo has been in the water. The young woman decided to try her luck at fishing. She took the iron pot to the shore. I can't believe I didn't see the hippo here. Irene has retaken her territory. Although there are no hippos, but there was a crocodile. I don't care if the crocodile is stupid. Irene was fishing on the shore with a fishing rod. Now she's getting weaker. The days passed by. She's been hanging on. Fill the shelter with water every day. And try fishing every day. But nothing at all. In addition to drinking water every day. Now she felt very hungry too. Today she's fishing in a different position. But also nothing to gain. The time came to day 19. 2 more days to evacuate. Irene has become very weak. But she never gave up fishing every day. At last good fortune came her way. She caught a turtle. It's the only thing keeping her alive. She simmered the turtle in a pot of soup. I've never seen a gringo eat soup before. After such a long time, it really felt good to eat meat again. Aaron lay in the shelter and greedily ate stew. This turtle is like a fully charged battery. Gave Aaron a full load of power. Tomorrow is the day of the evacuation. Tonight is Irene's last night in Africa. To commemorate it all, Irene tattooed her body with a fishing hook. Charcoal is used as a dyeing material. His wife Monica had tried to do the same, so she's getting a tattoo as a souvenir. This young woman is really cruel. For the last 20 days, she overcame all kinds of difficulties. The challenge came on day 21. Today is evacuation day. Irene woke up early in the morning. She pulled out a map to check the evacuation route. She had to hike 3.5 kilometers through the thorny terrain. She must always be on her guard. Cobras and black mambas lurk in the road. The road to evacuation is not far. But for a young woman who's been starving for 20 days, it's still difficult. If she hadn't had that turtle dinner yesterday, it's going to be hard to walk today. There are many thorns on the road, always getting pricked in the foot. Irene has trouble walking in pain. Luckily, there were no surprises, Still made it to the evacuation point. So who else will come here next to challenge? Look forward to an update in the next video.